大家好，
好，
大家好，
你好，
我相信大家英语买通。好。And now we'll move to English. So thank you very much for Chairperson Ye and distinguished guests. I'm very happy to speak today and share with you a very important aspect that we've heard in the previous speeches, sustainability. Sustainability in tourism. So let's start. We know that many things have changed over the past few years during the pandemic, during COVID time, and one of them is indeed perception of the importance of sustainability in travel and tourism. Let's look what people were thinking all around the world in 2021. So travelers were thinking that sustainable travel is vital. They said that the pandemic actually made them to think more on how they travel more sustainably in the future, and they believe that in the future there will be more options. And look at this one, 53% admit that they get annoyed when they find limitations from being sustainable, for example, by not finding recycling facilities. But that is just one example. 2 years later, fast forward to the end of the pandemic, we see that the numbers increase. Travelers now say that they actually plan to travel more sustainable in the next 12 months. Nearly half believe that sustainable travel are too expensive, and in contrast to 43 that are actually willing to pay extra. And these are some examples of very specific actions that people are making. So here's a definition of what sustainable tourism is. Tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities. And I also put it here in Mandarin so you can easily see it and remember and memorize. But this is very crucial, okay? Sustainable tourism does not refer to a type of tourism, okay? Many times in Taiwan, there is this confusion between 生态旅游 and 永续旅游. They are not the same. Sustainable tourism is the meaning that all types of tourism should be more sustainable. But how do we recognize what is sustainable tourism? We need some guidance on understanding when we look at something, we know, aha, this is a sustainable hotel, this is a sustainable tour operator, a sustainable destination. This is why we use standards. Standards are documents that help us understand what something is and agree on a kind of a global or international or local language of what it is. Then we have labels to verify that indeed something is following a standard. For example, if I like to eat organic lettuce, okay? I can always go to the nearby market, the traditional market, and buy lettuce from the person that I know that it's good and it's organic. But then I go and I travel to another place. Let's say I go to Kaohsiung and I want to buy organic lettuce. I don't know where to buy now, and I don't know all the farmers or the sellers in the market, which is just like next to one near my home. So I will go to a supermarket and I will look for a lettuce that has a symbol that says, okay, Taiwan organic, or perhaps a few other labels, and I trust them that they indeed, that lettuce and that producer follows certain standards, and therefore they have this label. So here are some examples of non-tourism standards and then labels. Some of them you may be aware of. Some of them are less popular, less common. For example, FSC, Forest Stewardship Council, is very common in Taiwan. If you will fly anytime soon, you will see that all the printed tickets will be printed on FSC certified paper, meaning or tissue papers and so on. So there are many standards that are very useful around different types of industries. Those are sustainability standards, and the majority of them are voluntary. Okay, nobody is telling you, you must buy organic lettuce. You must buy toilet paper that is source from responsible sourcing. It's voluntary. And the same thing, the same idea was brought to the tourism industry. And in the tourism industry, there are so many labels, so many standards. These are just a few. There's no space. Well, actually, this is a big screen, but there's no space to put all the labels and standards that exist. And many labels create confusion. And many times when we humans, are faced with too many options to choose from, what do? We don't do anything. We don't choose. We say we'll do it later. We'll choose later because it's so complicated for the brain and we just choose not to do. So in 2007, a coalition of 32 partners with the UN Foundation, UNWTO, UNEP, Rainforest Alliance, WWF, came together to create the Global Sustainable Tourism Council in the aim to create a standard, a global standard of sustainable tourism that we can use everywhere around the world and use similar language, whether it's in Taipei, in Berlin, in Washington, D.C., or in Tokyo. We will use similar language, of course not exactly the same verbs, but the same understanding of what sustainable tourism is. So the Global Sustainable Tourism Council at the moment is the leading global authority, sets and manages standards for sustainable travel and tourism. These are some of the activities that we do. We will speak about some of them. Developing standards, the GSTC criteria, which is the most important thing. This is the global standard. This is the core of our organization. We also provide assurance, and we also work with certain destinations that utilize our program. We promote market access and increase knowledge through trainings. So the GSTC criteria. This is currently the most used criteria. So if a hotel in Taipei decides to follow and use this criteria, they would be following the same standard as a hotel in Tokyo, as a hotel in London, and so on. So, right, we saw a very beautiful video, and we also heard some of the activities of the association and of the visitation that are coming to Taiwan. Those people, those companies that send their travelers to Taiwan and they would want to see, let's say perhaps they have certain requirements, they can easily use the same language. Is it sustainable? Does it follow this criteria or not? Instead of just coming up with a new criteria and so on. So this has been very helpful. The first criteria that was developed in 2007 and 2008 included more than 80,000 professionals that were invited to comment on those drafts. We analyzed more than 4,000 criteria and 60 existing certification standards and other voluntary sets of criteria, principles, and guidelines. Eventually, in 2008, it was published, and with the aim to have a worldwide applicability, and we revise it every few years. So this standard, it's not something that someone sat, perhaps a very intelligent person sat in the room and just said, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. No, we actually consulted many people, different languages all over the world. So indeed, it can be very global. So we have two sets of GSTC criteria. One is the industry criteria used for hotels and tour operators and any other type of business that would like to use that. And then the second one is the GSTC destination criteria used by destinations. And actually, I saw some colleagues some friends and colleagues here that are using those and are sitting here in the audience. So here are the 4 pillars of the GSTC criteria. You can see that we have A is the sustainability management aspect, social and economic benefit, cultural heritage, and environment. So these are very important to understand. Whenever nowadays when we speak about sustainability in travel and tourism, this is what we include when we say sustainability. It's not like when you think, oh, sustainable, it's only a sustainability, only environmental issue, green. No, it's actually also social issues, cultural aspects, and the management as well. So for those here that are more familiar with the term ESG, if you're dealing with finance or just more familiar with that. This one, you can think of it as ESG plus C. Okay, so E, the environment, S, the social economic benefit, G, governance, you can think about it, that's the sustainability management, and C for culture, right? We just heard before a talk by Mr. Lee about how culture is being used to promote certain things in Taiwan. When speakers came up on stage, what did I hear? Did I hear Beyonce? No, I heard a certain local tune. Culture is extremely crucial and important. These are some of the roles that sustainability standards are helpful for us. Besides just, okay, we can now talk about the same things, they are also the basis of certification, what I mentioned, a way to actually verify claims of hotels, of tour operators, and destinations, if indeed they follow the standards. They also help us for training and education and awareness. Just before the start, I had a conversation with Professor Xu that told me that in his, sometimes when he teaches, he's using the GSTC criteria and goes to our website for his classes. It uses also for guidelines and legal and regulatory codes. I will share some examples soon. Measurements and evaluation. How are we now? How are we half a year from now? And 5 years from now? And of course, market access clarity. So, assurance in sustainable tourism. Let's speak about that. So we know that we have standards, same language, same documentation. How can we tell that actually businesses and destinations follow those standards? We use certification. Certification defined as a voluntary third-party assessment through an audit of a tourism enterprise or destination for conformity to the standard. Okay? And we also, it's important to know the terminology. So it helps us to verify claims, right? Perhaps there is a hotel. I've seen a hotel that says we are very sustainable, we are very green, we're doing a lot of things. How do you know? How do you know that they're not just saying, hey, this is the best hotel in the world, right? It's a similar claim. It needs to be backed up. It needs to have some verification of this claim. And actually, making those claims in Europe can get you also fined, because in Europe already now, and soon there will be the EU Green Claim Directives, making claims that are not based on facts can lead to what is called confusion of the clients and so forth. And there's already been a few cases where there's been lawsuits against large companies such as KLM, Decathlon, and a few others for making this vague or too much superlative language. We at GSTC do not certify. That is the job of the many certification bodies out there. But how do you know which certification body to choose, right? So we know, okay, we need to use a standard, and we can use a certification to know if a business is sustainable. How do we know that the organization that looked into the hotel and audited them, if it's proper or not? Can I just call my cousin and say, hey, cousin, can you do an audit for me? I'll invite you for next dinner, I'll pay for it. And he'll just give me a pass. This is why we need something called accreditation. That's verifying the process of how certification bodies are actually certifying, okay? In a neutral, incompetent manner, impartial manner. It's very, very important. Think about it as certifying the certifiers, right? Just like someone is being certified, then you need to do that. The same thing, by the way, this structure is in many other industries, not only in sustainability standards, also in education, that is the same, right? A university gives you a certificate, your diploma, but a university, to be recognized as a university, needs to be accredited by the Ministry of Education or different other bodies, so when you go to another country, they will actually accept what you have studied. Otherwise, you know, it might be a problem. So here's another kind of a graph for you to see of the different levels of assurance. How much assurance do you have when we see a label? So when I go and I look at that lettuce, this organic lettuce, okay, I know what it means. So here's what it means in sustainability certification, especially in the tourism industry. We've got zero certification, we've got first-party assessment, that is just yourself saying, I'm doing well, I'm not doing well. A second-party verification may be an organization that consults you how to make your hotel, how to make your tour operator, how to make your destination more sustainable, and they say you're doing good, you're doing bad, you should improve. Then there is the next level of actually someone you do not know and you don't have any relationship with will come externally to audit you. How is your operation? But then there's the highest level that you also know the auditors that come to you are also impartial. They are accredited. So here's another graph to kind of explain that. So this is how the GSTC works, where we are acting as an accreditation body. We accredit certification bodies that certify tour operators, hotels, destinations, and the procedures credibly verified as transparent, impartial, and competent. However, when you look at certification bodies that are not accredited and they certify unknown procedures, maybe they are good, maybe they are bad, nobody looked into that. So now that we understood what standards are, the GSTC criteria, generally the importance of sustainability standards in travel and tourism, and we understood the assurance aspect of verification, certification of businesses, accreditation of certification bodies, let's look at some really good examples of how the GSTC framework is used. And these examples are not just examples to show, oh, these things are great, but it's actually something to tell you. I chose the name of this presentation today, Sustainable Tourism as the Future of Tourism. And those examples will show you that that thing that we talk about, sustainability in travel and tourism, is already here. Some other countries, some other destinations, some other businesses are pushing it so much that we will have to act soon. So this is why I bring these examples. These are just a few countries that are using the GSTC framework. In Indonesia, in Malta, New Zealand, Singapore, Bahamas, Thailand, Norway, Finland, Costa Rica, Switzerland, Japan, Botswana, and many more. Let's start with the example of Singapore. Last year, the Singapore Hotel Sustainability Roadmap was announced by the Singapore Tourism Board together with the Singapore Hotel Association. In line with their plan for 2030, the roadmap set up clear targets and strategies for hotels to adopt in their sustainability journey. And by 2025, and that's a year from now, right? At least 60% of hotel stockroom to achieve sustainability certification. Now, you might think, okay, there is time. But actually, do you see this? I assume that who has been here to Singapore? If you can raise your hand. Let's see. Okay, yeah, maybe 90% have been to Singapore. You probably visited this place, right? Gardens by the Bay, and next to it you can see Marina Bay Sands, one of the iconic hotels in Singapore. And this is a hotel that is certified as sustainable by a GSTC accredited certification body, so they actually really make sure that any claims they make are indeed correct. And it's very amazing to hear some of their examples about sustainability. So it's not only big hotels that did it. Small chains also said, okay, well, we have to do it anyway soon. Let's start now, because the government, the Singapore Tourism Board, is supporting by financing trainings and some other opportunities. So many hotels, small brands, large brands, have taken now the steps, and we already see increase of more sustainable operation. And we already see an increase in the number of certified hotels in Singapore. But just to mention that this is a voluntary program, like most of the places around the world. In Turkey, it's no longer voluntary. It is mandatory. Turkey has issued a regulation that by 2030, all accommodations within the country need to be certified as sustainable by accredited certification bodies. And in 2030, when all the accommodations in the countries are certified as sustainable, can they claim that it's a sustainable place? Can they easily make that claim and say, well, you know, can any other country show us that you're doing that? This is amazing because what has happened, it's not just, okay, it's a regulation and everyone now needs to work for it, because it actually created a whole ecosystems that actually made the whole process easier. So first, let me explain how it goes. It doesn't mean that everyone needs to do now everything by 2023. Oh, I've got some time. You have to go through stages. 30% of the criteria must be met now, and 70% by the end of 2025. So you have time to improve. You have time to go through a journey. You have time to plan and progress and process. But what this thing has done, because in Turkey there are tens of thousands of accommodations, it created a situation where the certification itself, the costs go down. Why? Economy of scale. All of a sudden, there are more certification bodies that want to be accredited and offer their services in a lower rate. Bringing an auditor, we don't need to fly them in from another country because now there are so many within the country. So there are many ways that such strong goals and plans can actually make certification cheaper, make compliance with sustainability easier. These are the numbers, by the way, from last week. We have 8,000 hotels in stage 1, one hotel that is in stage 2, and already 666 hotels that are completely certified as sustainable. Let's look a little bit at businesses, brands. We've got Hilton that have aligned their lifestyle management system with the GSTC criteria, and they continue to identify opportunities to achieve certification to the GSTC criteria. This is Mandarin Oriental that also committed to aligning the GSTC to the GSTC criteria, and individual hotels are encouraged to be certified. And if you look next year at how many hotels they have already certified, it will be quite interesting. On a large screen, it's a little bit pixely, I hope you're fine, but JTB Corporation, anyone here that deals with Japanese clients likely know this company, and if not, then probably you do know a number of their subsidiaries that are in Taiwan. JTB is one of the stronger players in Japan that follows the GSTC criteria, and they have put in their plans for the next few years very strong and clear guidelines on how to utilize the GSTC criteria, how to make their companies follow those standards, how to have also a policy related to supply chain. So if you're dealing with, if JTB is sending you clients in Taiwan, within a few years, I'm not making a statement, but there is a chance that they will ask you about your sustainability operation, and the language that they will use is the GSTC criteria. Japan Airlines, which you can see their planes fly from Songshan Airport very frequently every day. They also just recently joined as a GSTC member and also made a statement that they are committed to supporting accommodation facilities and tourist attractions in obtaining certification, because the group Japan Airlines actually has also Okura and Nikko hotels, so they do have also their own hotels. So on the one hand, they would make their hotels more sustainable and follow those standards, and on the other hand, they will try to make sure that they work with and collaborate with sustainable organizations. Let's look at the OTA world. Those large companies, platforms that we use, perhaps us as individual travelers, or business to business. So all of those are using the GSTC framework. Here's on booking.com explaining about how to become certified. And here's Flo Deshin, Yunping, I forgot the name, in Sun Moon Lake. They are certified, they are one of the first certified hotels within Taiwan. And you can see if you go and you search, you'll see that they will have the highest level that they can get. You see this 3 leaves plus, 3 plus, because they already have a certification as a sustainable accommodation. So the algorithm will see, and if it recognizes that you as a searcher on booking.com tend to prefer hotels that are following sustainability matters, this will start to pop up. You can also search and say, show me only those that are doing sustainability things. This is Traveloka, which is the Indonesian unicorn, which is, let's think about it as the Indonesian booking.com plus Skyscanner plus everything else. They also have it here. You see, this is the Capella in Singapore. You will see that they also comply with the GSTC criteria. So they start to show it. And this is what I meant at the beginning when I said market access. This is a benefit for anyone who takes action now. Your hotels will be promoted more easily. EasyJet Holidays, which is a UK-based airline, EasyJet, but they also have the holiday part, which sends a lot of British clientele to all parts of the world. And they made it very clear. By 2025, they want to make sure that they work with hotels that are sustainable. What happens in 2026 if you're a hotel that you're not certified as sustainable? You've got a problem here. So here's an example of how it already looks on the website. They have a whole nice page that you can search, you see. You can choose that, and then it will show you the hotel as, and so on. Again, using the same language, the same reference to the standards. For those that are more focused on business travel, the largest B2B player in the world, American Express Global Business Travel, also utilizes the GSTC criteria and asks every time when they deal with for their clients like Amazon and Google and many others, when they prepare their accommodation options for next year and the year after, they ask hotels, are you certified? If not, do you follow this, and that? And they use the similar language. The questions about sustainability will be the same languages as in the GSTC criteria to make it easier for the industry to follow. Also, the cruise industry is using it to identify tour operators. In Taiwan, there's also in Geelong, Royal Caribbean is operating a number of cruise ships that stop at Geelong. And they had a target of reaching 1,000 sustainable tours by 2019. They actually exceeded it with more than 2,000 by that time. So you can see it all over. Mostly here it's Europe, Mediterranean, and the Americas, but they do also operate in East Asia. So this brings me to the question of here. What's in Taiwan, right? These are some examples of what's happening around the world. Let's see what is happening here. By the way, who can tell which year was this photo taken? Because there's one building missing here. Okay. So there are trainings that take place in Taiwan. Last year, this photo was shared also in last year's keynote speech, because you had the CEO of Agoda that spoke here, and I saw that he had a quick reference to the training that we held last year in November in Tainan City. Because Agoda, as an online travel agency that is actually working closely with GSTC, has been supporting a lot of trainings all over Asia, in Taiwan, in Singapore, in Thailand, and so forth. So that's a photo from November last year. And it was so successful that later on the Tainan government decided to hold another training for their Department of Tourism in Tainan, and that was in April this year. So, and we believe that there will be more. But again, this just shows demand and actually being pleased with that. Dong Peiqiao has been utilizing the GSTC destination criteria for quite some time now. So let me just go here and show you. This is the Sustainable Development Policy. Okay, they didn't just come and like made it up. Well, yeah, of course they did need to work and craft it, but they looked at the GSTC criteria. They also looked at another standard, which is a GSTC recognized standard called Green Destination. But they really rely on using the similar language of sustainability that is used all around the world. So it's much easier for other places around the world to say, hey, look at Dongbeijiao. And I think we've heard a number of times already today reference to this location. These are a few other places that are not in the same level, but are also pushing forward and using the GSTC criteria. And these are just 3 out of a few more hotels that are certified as sustainable, certified as sustainable accommodations to the GSTC criteria by a GSTC accredited certification body. So Flor de Xing, Yunping, Jiudian, and Footprint, which is in Nantou, and Toucheng in Yilan. So these places, well, actually in Toucheng, by the way, Toucheng is a good example because they really believe in certification. If you go to their website, you will see that they have a lot of certifications when they try to communicate to Muslim-friendly travel, to sustainable travel, to vegetarian if needed, and so on. And you've got Flor de Xing as an example of a little bit more posh, a little bit more luxury option, and Footprint, which is a proper accommodation, but a little bit more casual. So I want to ask, what can we do here in Taiwan? Only a few days from now, right, we'll be there. And in Taiwan, there are already a lot of goals following the SDGs, following commitments by the current government and likely and hopefully the future governments, to reach certain targets by 2030 related to carbon emissions, related to sustainability, related to anything associated with SDGs. And as part of it, the tourism sector, it's not only an obligation for us to be part of it, but it's actually an opportunity. So think about it that we're able in the tourism industry to say that we are part of achieving the 23 goals because of our work. That it's not only checks the boxes, but it's also fun. I mean, we're all dealing with tourism because it's fun to speak with people, to collaborate, to meet people from abroad and within, and go to certain places and protect them, and to showcase culture and food and so on. But the important part is that we should act now. We cannot wait. If you wait, well, with all the respect, we've heard from Mr. Lee on all the actions that is done in Taiwan in order to promote Taiwan as a destination. But if Singapore becomes a much more sustainable destination for those that require sustainability aspects, and if in Japan is like that, and if here, and if and here, and so on, then would we let Taiwan stay behind? And I want to finish with that. In December 2019, did Taiwan wait to open and initiate the pandemic processes? The answer is no. Once there was an understanding that there is a pandemic, that's it, opened. And all of a sudden, during the pandemic years, Taiwan was a haven. So there is the ability in Taiwan not to wait and act now. And I think that there is no reason to do the same thing also in the travel industry to follow sustainability. It's been a pleasure to speak to you, and I will stay here afterwards if anyone wants to chat or get some more information. We also have my colleague here, Rita Quan Luxuan is also here, so we're happy to chat with you and provide more guidance and information because we would love to see more sustainability in Taiwan. Thank you so much.